Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Canine Fulfillment Podcast. My name is Mahogany Gamble and I'm your host and the owner of Nexus Canine. I wanted to jump on today to talk about something that is really important to me. I believe it's really important in the human-dog relationship. I think it has a very firm an important place in the discussions on canine fulfillment, but it's something that I see people struggle with, and this is presence. And I'm going to take a step back really quickly and talk about, again, because I covered some of it in the first episode, but I want to cover it again in this episode, which is why are dogs in our lives? I heard an interesting video yesterday or 2 days ago, and I'm going to talk about it, and you're at first going to wonder what in the world this has to do with canine fulfillment, but I'm going to draw the connection. It was a video about eating chicken eggs and the quality of eggs and what those chickens eat, and how today we are able to industrialize the production and processing of chicken eggs because chickens are that type of animal. They're animals that aren't necessarily going to fight back. And I'm referring just to the video. I don't have a lot of experience myself with chickens. I've never raised chickens. I really want to, but I haven't. So I'm just taking this from the video. And so he talks about how the industrialization, the commercialization of chicken eggs has been really easy because chickens are relatively docile. They allow themselves, in a sense, to be stacked on top of each other, shoved into small spaces, and people can still interact with them and raise them. So, this is not a judgment of CAFOs or anything like that, literally just recapping this video. But he talked about how the industrialization has allowed for a lot of these larger companies to feed them foods that that are not natural for them, right? So feeding them corn and soy, which can change the biological structure of their bodies, and then that is fed into the eggs. And so that's what the video was about. But he talks conversely about ducks and how ducks are a little bit wily. They're difficult to handle. They would never do well in small spaces. And so there hasn't been a big market for duck eggs because these ducks will not tolerate sort of the industrialization that chickens have. And I thought that was an interesting video because animals have such their own dynamics, right? They have their own, it's more than personality. It's, as a species, who and what are these animals? And, just hearing the differences, again, when I was a kid, I fed ducks at the park, and that's the extent of my experience with ducks. And I have very little experience with chickens. So I was just listening and learning. And it made me think about dogs because dogs have everything needed to pair with humans. There's almost no other species that could pair with humans so perfectly. And that's what I thought about after watching this video, because you might think that one bird is like another bird is like another bird, but each species has their own quirks, their own needs, their own tolerances. And when we think about cats, for example, versus dogs, sure, cats have been domesticated and many of them live harmoniously with humans, but they are not integrated into the human life in the same way that dogs are. And they never will be, because as a species, they don't possess all of the traits needed to perfectly pair and align with humans. And the reason I bring this up is because dogs did not pair with humans by accident. There was no accident. This was destined. It was written in the stars. Some creator or set of creators or creative energy decided on this pairing for a reason. And when we look at the world today and the state of humanity today and the chaos and the disruption and the awakenings and every single thing that humans are going through today, what I see is this perfect pairing, and how dogs were paired with humans for times such as this. Now, this isn't a unique time. Every single generation has had their modern time, right? Every single generation has had their time of awakening, their time of chaos and eruption and disruption. Every generation has had that. And every generation of humans has had dogs alongside them. And today, what I see is dogs supporting humans and humanity in a way that lessens the stress, the chaos, the damage from everything that's going on in the world. I watched a really amazing video by an influencer, I will call him for now, who's very spiritual, and he talks about many beings, and he talks about why they're here and what their purpose is. And one of the things that he talks about as far as dogs' purpose is to equalize, to be a sort of energetic equalizer. And I think that's really cool. It's not anything that actually not just energetic and emotional. That's I think the word that he used, an emotional equalizer. And I think that we see that in dogs. I certainly see that in dogs. They lift my spirits on more difficult days. They energize me when I'm fatigued. They make me laugh in the absence of company. They ground me in many, many ways. They keep me very deeply grounded. And I see dogs doing this everywhere, in thousands and thousands of clients' homes, in my friends' homes and family members' homes. Dogs are giving people and instilling people with hope, with courage, with joy. I talked about in the first episode how dogs live in the frequency of joy, and they live in the frequency of presence as well. And they teach us something really valuable in those frequencies. I actually think those two frequencies are nearly one and the same. We can't experience joy solely by living in the past, and we can't experience joy solely by living in the future. Neither of those is authentic. And I don't think that people who are not, I think that inauthentic people cannot truly experience joy. Joy is a vibration that happens in presence, in having gratitude and seeing beauty in the present moment and enjoying everything around you in the present moment. And dogs embody this almost unlike any other creature I think I've ever seen. I cannot think of, where one of the fields that my sports club used to train at, they raised pigs. And I remember every time the pigs would see the dogs, they would come out and start playing and doing zoomies and things like that. So I think that every species, has the ability to be playful. But there's a connectivity and a coherence between dogs and humans that dogs ground us, bring us joy, bring us humor and laughter, and teach us presence. And they, in turn, have the opportunity to practice that over and over and over again every single time that they're in company with people. This is a very meaningful relationship and a very meaningful bond that I think it's important that we never forget. And when I say never forget, what I really mean is that we never take it for granted. It's really easy to take it for granted when we get caught up in life and we're thinking about other things and the dogs just happen to be there. And that's going to happen here and there. Life can be really tricky at times. But I think it's important to always appreciate why we have dogs here with us. It's never going to start to manifest as a mistake. It is the quintessential bond that creation, the creator, the universe designed so that humans have support. I think a lot of you guys know I'm very spiritual, and I understand that we as souls, as spirits, we come to incarnate on Earth as a school. Earth is one of the densest planets in the universe, and there is a lot here that can bring us down, that can attack us, that can make us feel less than. And so it doesn't surprise me that any creative energy would give us, as a support system, some being that lives in this joy and present frequency. Like, how incredible is that to support humans in this journey, in this Earth school? So that's the background. And the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because one of the things that I've been observing quite a bit when I'm out with my dogs is I see a lot of people walking their dogs and they're not present. They're on their phones. They're playing video games. I've seen people who have their dogs out. They're sitting on a bench playing video games while their dog is tethered to them. And when I look at things from the perspective of fulfillment, it's great that the dogs are getting out, they're getting sun, they're touching the earth. All of those things are really good and healthy and beneficial for the dogs. But they're missing the presence. They're missing that reciprocation from their owners. And oftentimes when we're at home, sometimes the dogs obviously are home by themselves. A lot of times if we're there, we're busy. Like right now, I'm recording this and then I have another recording that I'm going to do after that before I take the dogs out. So now the dogs are just hanging out. They're chilling all in different rooms. They're not getting any of my energy or my attention right now. So when we go out, we do outings every day. It's really important for me that that is the time to be present with them. When we look at this idea from a behavioral perspective, a lot of behavioral concerns start to arise when we aren't present with our dogs, because the dogs, recognizing that they don't have our attention or focus, they start to place all of their attention and focus into the outside world and into distractions and things that are more exciting than us anyway. And then we can lose their attention altogether. And as a trainer, one of the most common concerns that I heard with dogs was, well, they'll do their obedience and they'll pay attention to me inside the house, but as soon as we step outside, I've lost them. They won't even look at me. And this doesn't always start with the human attached to the dog not being present with them and giving them attention, but it definitely can. And so when I'm out and I see people completely ignoring their dogs. And I'm not talking about someone glancing down at their phone. I will watch, and especially because I take my dogs and I work my training dogs out at parks and things like that. So I will watch people, do loops around and things like that, and they'll be looking down at their phones the entire time. And sometimes I'll pass by people and I can hear sports games playing, or I can hear them listening to or watching videos, on TikTok and things like that. So my challenge for everyone is to put the phones away for a dedicated period of time, especially when we're out with dogs. Like, that's my challenge. So I generally wear a fanny pack or something that, doesn't allow cell phone signals to come through. And I love wearing that because I can still have my phone on me if I decide I want to take pictures or record a video or something like that. But generally, my phone's not going to ring. I'm going to be uninterrupted. This is called a Faraday case or a Faraday bag. So if anybody's interested in that, there are a lot of different companies that make them. They were originally made, I believe, for high military personnel who needed to ensure that their phones and their electronic devices couldn't get hacked. And now they make them commercially, and they work very, very well. And they're amazing because they encourage, or I would say they discourage distraction. They encourage us to be present in the moment, because no dings or dongs or, anything is coming through the phone. So I really like to use these. And like I said, if I need video or photo, my phone is right there. As soon as I pull it out of the pouch, it checks in with the cell towers and the signal comes back through. So this is my challenge, is to go out and be present with your dogs. That's it. It's not, I think that if you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance you're already doing that. But if you're already doing it and that's something that you've already mastered, then please encourage a friend, especially someone that goes out and isn't engaged with and isn't present with their dogs and is starting to have behavioral issues, because they do come. I would say there's almost no chance that you're going to do that continuously and not start to see behavioral problems in a dog. And so again, when we look at this from a fulfillment perspective, that's really important to consider, because what is fulfilling for the dogs? The dogs are fulfilled by reciprocating, having that reciprocation of presence and attention. And of course, it's unrealistic to think that we're going to do that all the time. And we're not. I'm certainly not. I'm not going to advocate for that because it's unrealistic. But giving our dogs attention in those key moments, especially when we're out and our dogs actually need something to engage with, it's really important when we have a lot of distractions around, that our dogs can give us attention and they can engage with us. So I think that's it for today's podcast. That's really what I want to talk about and remind people of. Dogs are here to teach us a lot of things, and they're doing a damn good job. We just have to make sure that we are paying attention to the lessons that they're here for us to learn from them, because it's kind of a waste if we're too busy and distracted to learn the lessons from them, because they are here for a reason. They were paired with us specifically as a species to support us and to teach us the things that are important. And I see a lot today with everything going on in the world. It's very easy to get distracted and dragged down and drug into parts of the world and parts of the system that don't directly affect us. And it encourages us to give that energy away. We're giving away a lot of our energy, and in that way, we're losing a lot of power for ourselves. So dogs can help us bring ourselves back to center by showing us repeatedly. They show us literally in every moment what it means to be present. And what we can give them back as a gift is the reciprocation of presence and our own learning to be present alongside with them, especially at the key moments. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to the next episode.